Hey guys, it's Maymay, and guess what? It's holiday planner time. Every year we try to give you a holiday planner, and every year I try to do it different. Now, if you would like to see my previous holiday planners, I will have a playlist for you guys linked in the description and also in the blog post. And Mandy has said she is going to go back to our previous holiday free printables that we've given out before, and she's going to change the dates on the ones she can. Some of our stuff is a little bit older and saved in such a way that we can't change the dates on it, but the ones that she can, she's going to change the dates. So we will link that information. So if you don't really care for the way I make this year's and you'd rather make it the way we did another one, we'll have that for you in the blog post as well. So this calendar is going to be October, November, and December. I do not have October's printed here in front of me, but I do have the rest of them to show you how it works. So here's November, December. You also have a weekly, so you can plan every week if you want to add weeks. You have activities that you might want to list out here. We've given you a budget page, an expenses page, charitable giving, your decor inventory if you need that, decor by room, your craft list. This is craft like recipe sheet. So if there's a craft you see you want to do and you want to do that, have it in your little book, you can. Your card list for who you're going to be sending cards to. These are thank you card lists. So if you want to keep up with the gifts that you get throughout the holiday and you can send thank you cards, here's names and addresses. Gift ideas, your gift shopping list. This is the one I use most often, is the shopping list. Online purchases. This is also one I use a lot so I can keep it with what I have purchased for who or whom. And then a menu, if you want to plan out your holiday menus. Here's your baking list, your recipe list, and also your recipe card, which I love. So if there's a recipe you want to try, you can do it there. Here's your grocery list. And then lastly is your reading plan. Now, these are the same reading plans we've done before, but they're really good for this time of year. Your Thanksgiving plan is here and your Christmas reading plan is here. So this will be really cool for you to be able to refresh your memory on your reading plans. Now, you might be thinking, some of those pages make no sense to me. That's okay. All the pages aren't for everyone. What you want to do when you get ready to do your planner is to go through and pick out what pages you would like and how many of those pages you will need. I'm going to do that now before I start to put my book together because I want to know how many pages I need to add to my book. So I'm going to do that off camera and I'll get right back with you. So I've gone through and decided I need 14 sheets in my journal. I'll show you how we'll make the journal a little bit. It's going to be super easy. But the first thing I want to do is get my pages ready for my journal. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to cut away the little dash lines on the paper. So I'm going to cut that first one there, and then I'm going to come down here and slice this off. Now I'm going to get my pages all separated out before I build my journal so I know exactly what I'm working with. So for example, if you're going to be putting 3 of one sheet in, you want to make sure you have all 3 of those cut and maybe 1 of another sheet. You just want to get all your sheets organized before you start to assemble. And the assembly of this journal is going to be so easy. You're going to be so happy with how quick we can do this because we need to be doing holiday stuff, not worrying about making a very detailed, in-depth mini album. So every page is going to cut in half like this. So that gives us 2 pages for our planner. Okay. Now later I will cut these in half. I'm not going to cut them in half now because I don't want to take a chance of losing all the pieces and getting everything out of order. But later I will cut them in half to go into my book. All right, so let me trim down another sheet. This is a good example. I don't need the address portion of this sheet, so I'm only going to cut the top off of this one. I keep my addresses in my phone, so I don't really need this one. Although if you want to make a little address book, that would be a super nice gift, and you can just print off several of those. I want this thank you card list because I do like the idea of keeping up with gifts and things that were given throughout the season, so we can make thank you cards in January. That's when we need a bunch of thank you cards. So I'm going to trim this one away. And I shouldn't need more than 1 sheet because of the way we do gifts. We don't really flood each other with gifts. So I shouldn't need more than 1 sheet. But if you do need more than 1 sheet, you can add that to it. But I'm just going to do the 1 for now. All right, let me go through and trim out what I need. So this will be the layout except for October. I still have to print October and I'll bring that in when we get started. But my layout is going to be 13 pages. Okay. I'm going to make this like I've been making the brag books. It's going to be super easy. So let me show you how we're going to do that. So we designed the planner so that you would get 2 pages from one 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. So each of your planner sheets, I'm gonna bring one over, is gonna glue in, and this will fold over and your planner will be that size. So perfect for your purse or your bag or your car, anything like that. Again, I'm gonna be cutting these in half to glue them in. We'll talk about that later, but you'll need one sheet for every sheet you have printed off, and you're gonna need a cover, and I'm gonna add an extra page in the back for notes, okay? So I'm gonna go through and cut all of my little pieces of cardstock in half. Now, while I'm doing, I want to talk to you about a couple things. You don't have to use solid color cardstock. I was going to use one of my Christmas packs, and then I realized you won't see much of the paper. So rather than use a whole Christmas pack for these pieces that I'm cutting now, I'm going to use the Christmas paper pack to decorate the front and the back of the book and to make my closure, but I'm not going to use that paper for my inside pieces, as you won't really see them, and I'd rather use my solid pages for that. So now that I've got my pieces cut in half, which is 8.5 by 5.5. That's how big my pages will be. I'm going to score them in the middle at 4.25. This is very much card maker math, as these are basically card bases. So let me just show you what we got here. This will be the size of our planner. I really wanted to save paper, and I wanted to be able to do this like super easy. We're just cutting one piece in half and getting a whole page. So here I'll have my cover and my first calendar, and then we'll keep going, okay? So I'm gonna run through and do all my scoring really quick, and we'll start assembly. I thought I'd mention this. If you have any pre-cut card bases, I didn't mean to do that double. If you have any pre-cut card bases, maybe in your stash or some that you wanna use up, this is a good planner to do that with, because it is just the size of an A2 size card. Now I'm also gonna run through and I'm going to round the corners of the pages, but I'm not going to do my typical 1/2 inch. I'm only going to round them 1/4 inch. And I'm only really doing this so that it doesn't catch on anything in my bag or in my purse or wherever I put it. I feel like having this little bit of a rounded edge will help it be a little sleeker. But the reason I'm not doing full 1/2 inch rounds is because I don't want to have to adjust. I don't want to have to go through and do all of my pages if I can keep from it. I think if I do it this way, I won't have to round my white paper edges, and I don't know, I'm just not feeling it today. So if you don't mind rounding it, then you can do the 1/2 inch and round all of those as well. I'm being a little lazy today, I gotta be honest, and I'm just gonna do the 1/4 inch round, so I don't have to do all those. Now I'm gonna run through and score all of them, and you can really do this at any point. You don't have to do it here. I just decided to leave them flat while I was doing the corner rounding because it worked easier for me. But I'm just going to run through and crease all of them down. I think I said scored. I've already scored. But I'm going to run through and crease them all down so that when I put them together, they'll go together nice and crisp. Here's another tip for you guys. Before you cut your pages in half, if you want to go ahead and do your score line down the middle, then cut them in half, you'll save yourself a step. I don't ever do that. I don't know. I don't think that far in advance. I think one step at a time, but it doesn't matter as long as you get it all done. So now that you have all your pages cut, corner rounded, scored, and folded, let me show you how to assemble. This is just like we do brag books. So if you've watched any of my brag book videos, which I will link for you guys, this is the same thing, except for one thing. I'm not going to leave a side pocket. I'm going to leave a top pocket. I don't really need a pocket for this anymore. Used to, we needed receipt pockets, but nowadays we can get receipts emailed to us most of the time, so I don't need as much space as I used to. So here's what I'm going to be doing for my book in particular. If you want a side pocket, don't put glue here, but I want a top pocket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on 3 sides of this guy. The side, the bottom, and the back are the spine. Okay, and then with it folded, I'm going to pick up another signature that's folded and put that together. So we've created a pocket at the top, but we put our pages together just like this. If you were, just imagine it's like card bases. You're doing the same thing. You're just gluing these straight to each other. So this is your cover. This is your first page. This is your second page, and this is your first pocket. Okay, so you need to let that dry. I didn't, I pulled it apart. Now let's do the next page. So cover, first page, second page, let's glue to here. So I'm going to do 3 sides. Again, if you want your pocket on the side like we've done in the past, there's no problem with that. Just do that. Just leave this section open right here where I'm closing it. But I want my pocket at the top. I feel like I'll have less chance of having stuff fly out in a smaller pocket. All right, and then just stick that down. Maybe line it up on your table, your work surface, and get that nice and lined up as well. Now, you're not going to cut these perfectly. I don't care how great your trimmer is. Human error is going to get some little pieces that are off. That's not a problem. Just take your scissors and trim that away as you go. If you want that to be nice and even, you know, be the same height. It's just going to be a sliver. Just going to cut that little sliver off, and we are nice and even. So now I'm just going to continue gluing 3 sides as many pages as I need, and I'll end up having that pocket at the top. Okay, so here's my book all put together. Here's my front cover, my first page, and then it just flips through just like this. I love how these books lay out. They're so easy for writing in. They go flat, fairly flat. And remember, my pockets are now at the top of the page the way I did this one versus having pockets at the side like before. But you can totally do pockets on the side. Just leave this side open and glue the top and bottom together. Okay? All right, now let's put our pages in. The cover I'm going to decorate later. The cool thing is you can treat it like a greeting card because that's what size it is. That'll be really neat. Inside here, I want this to live just like this. But I have decided that I want to slice this down the middle before I glue it in. And the reason is if I don't, I can get some of this resistance in that center spine, and I don't want that. So I'm going to be cutting my pages in half, and Mandy made sure she lined these up for us in the printable so that we can go right to the middle of our calendar, and that will get us the center line. And now these will fit on either side of the spine. And what I'm going to do is glue it right to my score line. So I might have a little gap in the middle, but I'd rather have that so that the book will close nice and clean than have that resistance in the middle. Let me show you. I'm going to go ahead and cut my other 2 calendars in half so that they'll be ready to go. But you can see here why I didn't cut them in half earlier. I don't want to get anything mixed up. Doing it as I go gets me a lot better chance of keeping everything organized. Because you can see, once I slice those in half, I need that December side to stay with it, and I didn't want these all over the place. All right, so that tells you what kind of messy crafter I am, right? Now, you can use sticky tape here. You totally can. And I'm using copy paper, which means my glue is going to show through slightly. But this is one of those things that I use every year, and I don't keep them from year to year. So it's really just utilitarian. So that doesn't bother me. But if you plan to use this to put photos in or turn this into something you would keep over time, you might want to use sticky tape and not a liquid glue on your copy paper. So I'm just going to glue that in there like so. Lift this up so I can flatten it down. And this way I won't get that crazy weird bend if I were to glue that page straight down. See, this way I can close and open without getting any damage. All right, let's do the next side. This is one of those projects that I get glue all over me and everything else. But at the end, it'll all be done and look good. All right, so there's October, and see how flat that opens and closes without any resistance? Let's do the same with November right here. Now, if you're someone who likes to plan the weeks out as well, you might want to consider putting your weeks between your months. I'm not a week planner. I don't do the weekly. I just like the month at a glance, so I can just look at it and kind of know where I need to be when. But we did give you the weekly printables. Just remember, the more weeks you add, the thicker your book is going to get. So just keep that in mind as you're going. Not a big deal. You always could do this. You always could make your book in a different size if you wanted to. You can even do it with a full sheet of 8.5 by 11 and have more space. But this just kind of works for me. And I usually just kind of bring you guys along every year as I'm making my planner. So the other thing, be sure if this is not the style planner for you, that you check out those other videos I have in the playlist for you, because Mandy's going to go through and change the dates on those so you can use those free printables this year if you'd rather. I just thought, let's see if we can give you as many options as possible. Okay, those are my calendars glued in. That is so cool. I love that. And now I'm going to put in my reading list, because that'd be the next thing I would want to have in my book. So you lay it out the way you want it. I just want to put my reading list next. So let me slice it in half. If you're not sure where half is, just do this. Just fold it like this, because it'll be different for you based on how you trim it. But she did do these so that we could get our writing on either side of the page. So just fold it in half to get your line, and then put that into your trimmer and slice. Perfect. Let me do December as well. I think I'm going to run through and go ahead and cut my other sheets in half, because I know pretty much where half is now, and I think I'm ready to start gluing and get the process going. Just make sure you stack everything with its partner. If you do that, you'll be okay. I just know me. If I were to get started on this and then walk away and I'd already cut all these in half, I wouldn't know what goes with what. I also went through before and laid my pages out in the order that I wanted them to go. That's helpful too. So I do know that the way I'm stacking these is how I want them to go in the book. So that will help as you start to glue in also. So what I'll do now is just glue everything down, and we'll just add some music and speed it up and let you watch us do it. I don't think I mentioned when I was talking about the reading plans, if these are scripture reading plans. If you aren't a person who reads scripture, just don't add these. Just skip these, or maybe add a different reading plan that you like to read for the month of Thanksgiving or for Christmas. And that's the beauty of this. You can play this any way you want it. I just like to make sure I always add a scripture reading plan. This card list printable, I was just sitting here thinking this would be super cool to make one of these journals just for card lists that you keep all year long. And then when you hear someone who needs a card, maybe you're out and about and somebody gives you a phone call and says, be praying for somebody or something like that. Be a cool way to just write that down and keep up with, I mailed a card to that person. You can just make a card list journal or planner. That'd be cool. Oh, I wanted to mention too, the little recipe printable that we did. Wouldn't this make a cute little recipe book? You may see that coming. You may see that as a gift. I always like to do a recipe, something recipe for the holidays. I don't know if I'm going to do this same book or how I'll do it, but you may see me use that little recipe card. You've seen me do one recipe project already this year. I'll be sure to link that one as well. But this would be a really cute way to make a little small recipe book to keep in your purse or something. Like if you're at the store and you don't have your ingredients, you can just pull this out and have all your ingredients right there with you. Now for my last blank pages here, I'm going to be gluing down this piece that's going to be like a notes page. So this piece is 4 by 5 and it's just plain copy paper. So I'm just going to glue this down. I like to have a place to write things I just need to remember. And so I like to give myself plenty of notes. I'm really more of a note writer even than a planner. So I want to give myself plenty of spots just to write some notes down. So that's what I'm going to be doing with these pages through the rest of my book. So there she is, part 1. This is all assembled just like this, and all of my pages. I love this little guy. I'm really going to enjoy this. I like how flat it opens. So if I want to write in here, I can just write so easy. I love that. And I'm not through. I still have to decorate, but I wanted this to be part 1 so that you could go ahead. There's my notes pages, and see how the glue shows through. If that's going to bother you, be sure to use sticky tape, but as it dries, it'll still be there, but it's not going to bother me because I'm just using that for writing. By the way, if you see this glue mark here, I was going to put a wrap around here to hide the spine, but I decided I may not. I did a little test to see if I wanted to. I may still come back and do it, but the spine doesn't really bother me. I don't know. We'll see. I may come back and do that. All right. So that's the book assembled. So get to this point with me, assemble your book, and then we will get back together and we will decorate the front and the back, and we'll decide what we're going to do with that spine. I have an idea that I think I'm going to do instead of my original idea. That's why I took that off of there. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget, all these printables are free for you, okay? So we have them linked in the blog post. You can go get all of these for free, plus those previous years that we will have available for you as well. Hey, thanks so much for watching. I'm excited for the holidays and getting our planner all done. And when we get back together, we'll make this one super cute to go into our purse or to our bag. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Talk to you again next time. Bye-bye.